two people we watched draft. Who do you like better in this matchup?
I think I like Andrew's side here, just because I'm not sure that Corey's deck is very well suited to fight against large lifelinking creatures.
Yeah.
That was a huge dimension that Amaz was missing out of his deck. Yeah, he had some big stuff, but he really couldn't undo the work that Corey did early on. Andrew has the ability to stabilize and then go all the way back over the top.
All right, two devotees here on either side of the battlefield, Jeskai and Sultai, one each for Andrew Elenbogen and Corey Burkhart here. I love the pregame handshake as well from both of these players.
Two Michigan natives, Andrew from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Corey originally from the Detroit area, so two players who know each other very well.
Now we get to claim him in Minnesota for Andrew Elenbogen, lives there, does a System Magic stream with my good friend Greg. Played a Dragon Storm Globe here on his previous turn. Jeskai Devotee's getting frisky.
If you got to give out a little free promo, you got to give Greg's last name.
Greg Michael.
All right, there we go.
Yes. All right, Rescue Leopard for Corey Burkhart after the trade of the two devotees for two Rummaging Cat. And here we have Kotis, the Fang Keeper. Matches up very well against that.
And many other creatures in Corey's deck.
Yeah, that is true. 2-1 indestructible. I love what a great time they're having down there, too, chatting.
Yeah. A very good chance these two have shared deck lists with one another. So, pretty interesting here, the opportunity here for Andrew to connect with Kotis and seeing some just nonsense off the top.
Yeah, that's true. The absolute nonsense that Burkhart has in his deck. Everybody, if you didn't see Corey's draft, he drafted two colors, red and blue, super aggressive, ways to get stuff back from the graveyard. It's a very interesting deck, but he said one he's never drafted before. Ooh, okay. All right, Wingspan Strides going on to the Leopard, sending it up into the sky and giving it +1/+1.
Pardon my language. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Here we go.
All right, the kitty is flying.
Here we go.
And we get to rummage Wild Ride into the yard, #value.
And, is Corey just going to take it on the jaw here from Kotis? Sure. Is there anything even good for Andrew to hit in Corey's deck? Unclear.
But you want to see. You got to see. Give me the chance, baby.
This is so nice.
All right, no follow-up after that attack from Corey. He's going to pass the turn back over to Andrew, who's now at 16 following that cat attack.
I know this expression gets thrown around really loosely and often in a way that's sarcastic, but magic as Garfield intended. I play a creature, you play something that trumps it as a blocker, I put a flight on it and go over the top. Now back to you.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, boy.
Feral Deathgorger is going to put a counter on Kotis. All right, we're seeing even more cards from the top of Corey's library.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to shuffle it back in. These Omens have been putting in work this weekend. Excellent flexible cards that allow you to do two different things, given whatever the game state is.
And a nice spreading cost, too, because sometimes, you need something cheap and sometimes you need something expensive. And the majority of those designs have a pretty wide delta between the Omen and what the creature ultimately is.
So the Feral Deathgorger's Omen is called Dusk Sight. That's a little trivia for you there, kids. And in comes Kotis. Let's take a peek. Ooh, we got a War Room. We have a counter spell, and we've got a Shock Brigade, a little 1/3 menace.
So that's, two whiffs there.
Yep.
One because the War Games is too expensive, and the other because the counter spell, obviously doesn't work.
Yeah. But we got a creature out of the deal, which is pretty sick. And oh no, that's so sad. Piercing Exhale is going to take down the kitty cat who is wearing the wings. Burkhart down to 17. Gosh, take a wind out of a guy's sails, why don't you?
You know what? So sometimes in a match that, what I would give for just one good turn. At least Corey got one good turn.
He did. He really did. Kishla Trawlers is going to be the play. Corey has a full 3 of them in his deck. We're going to exile a creature and get back a Wild Ride. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey, man. I know one way, and that's a beatdown. +3/+0 gives the Trawlers haste. Has Harmonized for 6. Andrew is considering what to do there. He's going to take it down to 11. Yeah, sure. Take all the cards you want off my deck. I don't care.
Corey's deck is not built for blocking. So
That's true. That's true.
This is just what it is.
Oh, it just feels so bad, though. You know what I mean? Like, play with your own cards, man. Look at 3. What did we get? Anything? The Veteran Ice Climber. 1/3 Vigilance, Unblockable, mill somebody.
That is a card that Andrew can do some really good work with.
Sure can. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Lotus Light Dancer.
And this was my concern about the matchup here on Corey's side compared to what we saw in the previous round is, Corey's deck is pretty good at being bursty and being able to overwhelm some blockers, but Lifelink, given the lack of his removal, that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, this card is just is so good, especially in both this and the last matchup, which we're focused on trying to beat down early. 3/6 lifelink, put 3 cards into the yard. He's got total value from all 3 of them. He can get counters from either the Dragon or the Pummeler, and then he can bring back that 100 battle veteran to the battlefield as well.
I think the Sultai devotees are also going to be an issue for Corey in this matchup. He's got to get something going early.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you have this death touch blocker could really trade early with anything on the ground. Once Andrew starts playing these kind of cards, the Dancers and the Codis, I don't know if Corey's really equipped to come back from this. It's one thing when you're playing against Amaz and it's like, okay, here's a 6/5 flyer.
Yeah.
You got time. You're under some pressure, but it's not really doing anything beyond attacking or blocking. Andrew's creatures have quite a bit of value and utility that goes beyond that.
Yeah, I'm taking a peek at Burkhart's deck list here. Is there any way that he even has to deal with Codis in the list other than counter spells? Not sure that he really does. All right, he's going to play his own 1/3. Shock Brigade. And another Trawler. Pass back to Andrew, who's still at 11. Corey Burkhart at 14.
I think at this point, if you asked Corey, like, honestly, can you win the game
No.
from here? I think he's saying no, but between the Climber and other stuff Andrew's got going on, he might get to see a lot of cards. Remember, they have the pools, but not the deck lists.
Right.
So at this point, I think Corey's just sort of looking for information.
All right, here we go. Lotus Light Dancers into the air for a massive damage swing. Lifelink so very brutal. Yeah, from the look on Corey's face, there's no way out of this.
I mean, even for a blue-red deck, he doesn't even have very much flying.
True.
So very much on the ground here. So this is just scrounging for a little information before we get ready for game number 2.
Yeah, blue does have access to bounce, but I don't think Burkhart saw very much of that at the table.
I imagine Corey is going to say, probably play a land and say go here, or maybe cast something. No, letting it go. Doesn't even want to bother with one more mill.
He's going to scoop him on up. That's Andrew taking game number 1 pretty handily over Corey Burkhart.
Yeah, Corey just not able to get off to a jump is the issue there. He's got to be putting himself in a position to close out pretty fast because
Right.
Andrew's ability to defend himself and gain life is going to be really hard for Corey to beat if the game drags out at all.
Hey, do you have some cards? Perhaps you open them at a sealed event, perhaps a pre-release that you don't want anymore. Do you want to turn them into other cards? Do you need extra cash? You can sell your cards over at sellyourcards.starcitygames.com. Now that's a good web address, easy to remember.
Easy to remember. Perhaps you've been involved in an on-air promotional thing to fill a little bit of time that involves opening booster packs and asking what would you first pick out of that, and those boosters happen to have rares and mythics in them.
Hypothetically.
You're at Tournament Hall. You just walk them straight up to the Star City Games booth, cash or credit. If you're not lucky enough to be in that position, however, you can do it all online at sellyourcards.starcitygames.com. Burkhart.com.
Man, speaking of, I feel like I could use an extra pack right now. I wonder if there's any more in the building.
Yeah, I just, you know.
Who can say?
I feel, yeah.
We might never know.
I don't know. I'm looking around. You know, usually when there's 2 packs, there's more than 2 packs. It's been my experience working at these things.
Where there's 2 packs, there's fire.
There's often a case.
That's the saying. That's the magic version of the saying. Burkhart does have one copy of Ureni's Rebuff in his deck, so that is one bounce spell that he has access to. It's going to be rough, though. He does have some counter spells, so he has access to counter magic, which might come into play here.
It's not just about stopping the late game. That's a big part of it, of course, but it's also hoping that Andrew doesn't draw those death touch blockers.
Right.
That's going to take the wind out of Corey's sails, and as we saw, once things slow down a little bit, it's not really great at playing catch-up. You know, that's not what his deck is capable of doing. It's about getting out on the front foot and then having a big burst on the final turn.
You can see the players here looking at each other's pools. They have this information because we recorded the drafts.
Another fascinating thing about when you get to a matchup that is this extreme, a deck this slow and powerful against a deck that is this fast and weak. Not weak as like a weak draft deck, but in absolute terms, the power level of the cards in the deck.
Yes.
Your mulliganing heuristics often get close to constructed. Hands that are just lands and spells that just look fine against a random opponent, I think both of these players are going to be a little bit more selective than that because the parameters of the game are pretty clear. Corey needs to be attacking early, and Andrew needs to be defending himself early. If Andrew draws up a hand on the draw that's like, 4 lands, 4 drop, 5 drop, 5 drop, a hand that maybe you would keep most of the time because it's lands and spells, here he's going to let that one go. Corey, with a hand of, let's say, 5 lands, a good 3-drop and a removal spell, again, a hand you would keep against most people in the dark, that one might have to go back here.
Yeah, and I think that's where we see these players who've been around for a long time really start to get an edge, especially early on in the tournament because they're thinking about it like that. They're not just like me, head empty, being like, oh, I have lands and spells, I'll keep it.
It's not head empty. It's like you got to understand, and it's not, to disparage these 2 players or myself. Your head is filled with more valuable things. The amount of
well, that's very kind.
It's nice to be in the booth. It's nice. I've had a good life. I don't want to, but the amount of time I've spent thinking about this kind of stuff, maybe I could have thought about something else. You know what I mean? But it is nice when you're in the booth to be able to describe some of this. And these 2 players have probably thought about this stuff even more than I have.
All right, here we are underway in Game 2. An Agent of Kotus and the Kishla Trawlers in play now for Corey Burkhart. Sidisi in play for Andrew Elenbogen. No value from our Trawlers last turn, and here indeed is one of those death-touching devotees you mentioned.
And this is kind of the start that I was concerned about from Corey's side. Nothing he could do about it. It's just the cards that Andrew drew, but a 1/3 blocker and a 2/1 death toucher. Andrew's, in fact, at 21, above the starting life total. And if Andrew is just kind of able to follow up on curve with the cards that, his deck is kind of known for here, it's going to be hard for Corey to get much traction in this game.
Okay, there we go. Andrew Elenbogen falling down to 18 after an attack from the Kishla Trawlers. Effortless Master is the follow-up play here. One of the more powerful cards in Corey Burkhart's deck just based on itself alone.
Yeah, not getting too fancy here. Just playing, on curve, trying to at least make combat a little bit more complicated for Andrew, or maybe because of the menace, it could free up other attackers to get involved. And this is not if you're Corey, you're pretty happy to see this card. If Andrew just keeps casting creatures on curve, that's going to be pretty rough. If he's taking time off to draw some cards, it's a good sign.
And indeed, that's what we did do this turn. Roiling Dragonstorm, the play there for Andrew Elenbogen, puts a Dusya Earthcarver into the yard off that draw.
And notably, no 4th land from Andrew.
Very important. So perhaps a window of possibility here opening for Corey Burkhart.
Definitely. Andrew's top end is, or not top end necessarily, but at least the cards that represent danger to Corey in this matchup, the cards that make it so he can't get through anymore, they're 4 mana or more. As long as Andrew's playing at 3 mana, things can be unpleasant. Andrew can block effectively in certain spots or play some removal spells, but Corey is not at risk of getting locked out until at least 4 mana. So far, so good for Burkhart, even though Andrew was able to offer some early defense.
Burkhart here, turning the Kishla Trawler sideways. Effortless Master has Vidge, getting into the red zone. We're going to knock Andrew down to 11, and now we've got to make the most of this opportunity where Andrew is missing lands.
And you got to assume here from Corey, if you're that's now 2 hits with the Trawler that Andrew's taken that could have just been blocked by the Devotee 2 turns ago. I would probably put him on a fight spell.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a rune scale Stormbrood. There. God, 2/4.
It really looks like Andrew's putting a premium on keeping this creature around. It would the Death Touch creature around. It would also make sense with the previous turn of draw 2. Then if I make a land drop,
right? Yep. Oh, very good.
Then it's 4 mana and everything's rolled up.
There it is. Piercing Exhale from Andrew Elenbogen. My God, I would not have clocked that.
Like I said, you said empty-headed. And it's like, can I tell you, all however many 100 cards in Alpha Beta Unlimited? Yes. Do I know my blood type? No. It's like, so does that make you empty-headed? I would argue it makes me empty-headed.
Man, now I want to quiz you. Can you do it from the art alone?
If you show me any card in Alpha, oh yeah.
Okay,
great. That's not even fair.
Okay, that's easy. All right.
Second fight spell here.
Nice. Double fight. 2 piercing exhales for Andrew. Takes down the Rune Claw Stormbrood as well as the Effortless Master. Boom. Let's go.
Let's go.
And we did also reveal the dragon, so we know he has the Durgar Island dragon in hand. Excuse me, we beheld it.
Yes. It's beholden.
I think it's
beheld?
I think it's such a funny keyword.
Yeah.
Behold.
I love that behold counts in play, and I know why you get to do that at mechanical level. It's just too obnoxious if casting your dragon shuts off the cards that care about dragon. But it's like pointed at this thing. It's like, I already know it's there. I've been beholding it the whole time.
Behold.
Behold. It's like, yeah, I know. You gained 5 when you played it last turn. I've been beholding it. Don't worry.
All right, so that was a pretty brutal turn from Andrew here in this game, who did find that 4th land and hit those double fight spells, taking care of 2 of Corey's creatures. So what does he want to do now? He's still at 20, so not under a ton of pressure life total-wise, but he is under pressure to get the game done and get it done quick, and now Andrew wants to trade off.
Yeah, the 2 fight spells are accounted for. Now Andrew's just concerned about protecting his life total.
All right, 2 spells here from Corey. We have another Trawler, and we have the Shock Brigade. Trawler can't get anything back, so it's just a 3/2. 5th land here for Andrew, and this is when things start to get scary.
Especially with the amount of selection that Andrew's had on the last couple of turns, being able to surveil through those fight spells.
Yeah, that's been excellent for him. All right, we're going to use all 5 of this mana here. And there they are, the Lotus Light Dancers, the card we did not want to see if we are Corey Burkhart.
Yeah, this is kind of the first test here of can Corey continue to play the game, basically.
Right.
He's largely on the ground, and it's not just that it's a 3/6 lifelinker, which would be bad enough, but Andrew is at no shortage of ways to find stuff that's useful in his graveyard. And if Corey can't find, I don't even know if he has anything that would qualify as an answer, at least something to give a creature flying, then the door's going to get shut here pretty fast.
Interested in Andrew's 3rd card here. He doesn't always pick the same thing. This time he's picked the Ice Ridge Serpent. He's recurred that before to bounce something.
I also think at this stage it might just be the thing he wants to draw the least.
Sure, that could be it.
Oh boy.
That's a Dusty at Earth Carver.
Yes, a DC recurred it off of the Lotus Light Dancer.
Oh, wow. What a sacrifice. He doesn't even care about the lifelink. That is
Well, I mean,
stones.
4/4 reach is also not trivial for Corey to get through.
True.
And, remember, Sidisi's going to be
Yeah, we can just do it again, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gross. All right, we have Ringing Bell Strike, who's going to take care of the 4/4 right now. 4 now. Cost 5 to untap it, and Corey's going to make hay while the sun shines, getting in with his entire team. Mobilized Trigger is going to give him a warrior as well. That's 7 damage.
Yeah. Corey here just shaking out the last bits of loose change from under the couch cushions. I don't know if he's going to get another attack this game, but you might as well, at least throw one last punch. Corey laughing, seeming a little resigned to his fate, a little overpowered in this game, I would say.
For sure overpowered, yeah. All right, so we're going to see a trade here at the Agent of Codus. Excuse me, not a trade, a block on the Agent of Codus, sending it into the yard, but he can give a counter with Renew. Andrew falls to 6. That Dragonstorm icon for this set is kind of baller. Seeing it there in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
I understand different strokes for different folks and all that kind of stuff. I don't know of anyone who, plays Magic or likes fantasy IPs that is, not into dragons.
Yes.
Like, who's the not into dragon person?
I don't know. I have a dragon tattoo. I'm the girl with the dragon tattoo. I just realized that as I said it.
Oh.
Wow. So, yeah, I like dragons is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Agent of Codus does, in fact, renew onto the Shock Brigade, and it's going to be a Sagu Pummeler from Andrew Elenbogen. Corey Burkhart still at 20, notably, after all of this nonsense. But it's starting to get out of control. This Sidisi recursion loop is going to be nasty. In comes the Ice Ridge Serpent, bouncing a creature out of play for Corey.
Does Andrew have any flying? No. I guess he can tap at instant speed, though. I was going to say, without the omen that can tap something, there is a chance of, if Corey draws the +1/+1 flying enchantment and has a twin bolt, that's actually 6.
Yeah, that's true. But we do have that Durgar Island Dragon that's just hanging out in Andrew's hand that he thankfully has left face up for us.
Yeah, and the problem is that the enchantment obviously needs to be played at sorcery speed. So if Corey presents it, Andrew goes, okay, before combat, tap it. If Corey tries to go into combat, Andrew says, okay, bring it. I can block. So that, the burden on Corey here is to be the one to act first, and that's just a very hard thing to do.
All he's able to do is play a Shock Brigade, no attacks, back over to Andrew. And here we do the Sidisi dance. In come the Lotus Dancers.
And Corey gave a sure. Yeah, that's a normal turn.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
Yeah. As I played my, my third trawler recur nothing.
I would love an overlay on Corey's picture right now, and he just turns into that dog in the flaming house.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Well, I think Corey he probably sort of let this one go probably 20 minutes ago. But, you don't concede when the stakes are this high.
Yeah.
There's a respect for the game sort of thing. You know your opponent. But I do think would love to be put out of this one.
Put out of his misery?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, just flip your deck over, All that's missing from Andrew is the Thassa's Oracle.
Oh, yeah. Funny that Corey's still at 20 at this point in the game, though.
Andrew's having a really good time playing with his food.
Yeah, he is.
From a tactical or strategic standpoint, I should say, you got the only bad thing that can happen is you get sloppy and somehow get punked out of nowhere. And then from a psychic perspective, I'm having a good time right now.
Yeah.
Like the world is my oyster.
I mean, like, this Sidisi recursion loop is the Magic player's dream. Just nonsense. Durgar Island Dragon taps down that Shock Brigade, shuffles back in. Veteran Ice Climber is the play here for Corey. Now, that's a way to get in some damage, but remember that Andrew has that lifelinker on his side.
Mm-hmm. And in theory, one of Corey's better cards in the matchup, just because it's something that can keep attacking even if the game gets bogged down. But, way too little too late here.
I love it. They're still having a great time down there. I was watching a match with Carolyn Party earlier today, and she was having a great time drafting here on day 2. And for an indestructible counter, she used a tiny little rubber duck and put it on her creature. And she's like, Magic's supposed to be fun. And
Yes.
I'm like, yes, you're correct. Even on day 2 of a tournament with a $10,000 prize for first place, it's still a fun game, and I like to see that spirit with the players down the feature match area.
Oh, I'm glad you brought her up. Thanks for reminding me, because she was making custom dice bags for people for the tournament, and charging a couple bucks a piece. I bought 3 of them.
Oh, you got to get them.
For my kids with like their names on it or whatever. I haven't gotten them yet.
Well,
and I paid in advance.
Caroline, are you listening to this? No, you're not. You're still out there playing Magic.
And they were $15 a bag, and I handed her 50 and said, "I'll give you an extra $5 if I don't have to fill out the Google form. I'll just send you a text of my kids' names and you do whatever." And she said, "Okay." So
oh,
now,
that's so cute.
So now I gotta ask her about what happened there.
Yeah, she needs to pay up.
Can't chisel me out of my kids' dice bags. That won't fly.
It's just a racket. I hate to tell you. She's got you. She never made a dice bag.
I have a related story too. So we go to the pre-release.
Yeah.
I'm sort of we're kind of in garbage time here. I'll let you know if we ever get to a point where Corey can attack or block. So we get to the pre-release. It's a store on Broadway in Denver called the Wizard's Chest. And so I registered for the the pre-release. It's $38.
Yeah.
But with tax, it's $42. And so I get back to my seat. Caroline's is there, and she goes up and pays, and it's like $38, just the flat $38. I was like, "What's going on here?" And she's like, "Well, I'm a rewards member. I shop here at the store enough that they give me a little discount on this stuff." So I paid $42. Caroline paid $38. Sam Pardee, her husband, is coming to the pre-release as well. Wants Caroline to register for him. They share assets, whatever, they're married. And Caroline's like, "Well, should I charge him $38, which is my price, or $42, the store price?" And I was like, "You meet in the middle. You tell Sam it's $40. You keep the $2. Everyone's happier." And then after this is when I paid for the dice bag. So I think I might have unlocked a way of thinking for her that is now causing me some consequences in my personal life.
I love that, Nothing like talking yourself into a hole of your own creation.
Yeah. Sam gets to the site, is like, "Hey, Caroline, did you register me?" And I would go, "Sam, you want to sit down."
I got to tell you something about your wife.
It's going to be a little bit more complicated than were you registered or not. There's a negotiation. Sam paid the $2. Everyone was happy.
Okay, great.
But now I don't have my dice bags.
Caroline, come on now.
Come on now.
Did you get to choose the colors and everything?
Oh, yeah, she put out the prints. That's why they had a Google form, because they had all of them numbered. And I was like, "Can I just tell you the ones I want and not fill out the Google form? I'll give you another $5.
Wow. Pretty sweet.
Just handed her a $50 cash on the spot. No Venmo, no PayPal. Just ripped her off a $50. And I forgot about it, but now I remember. And I wonder if I've given her too much information about the world of scamming people. Ah, well.
Oh, well. That's the price you pay.
Yep.
For passing on knowledge.
The student becomes the master.
Veteran Ice Climber got in for 1, by the way. Andrew's now at 10. Woohoo. Sagu Pummeler. We're going to renew onto this Ice Serpent. What else are we doing? Another counter. Lifelink probably. Yep, from the monkey.
Good stuff.
That's a tasty treat there. They're both going to swing in for some life-linking chonk damage.
Corey thinking about his chump blocks. Chumps.
Jump. Goodbye to his little 1-3. We hardly knew ye. Andrew goes up to a healthy 20 again following that attack. Corey, though, still fighting the good fight here. Looks like it's a draw spell that he cast that he first picked. Pack one, pick one.
Ooh. Discarded the Flaming Effigy. That's another card that's, expiration date on that one.
Yes, indeed.
We're past it.
Do not eat that even if it's past the expiration date. That is no good here. Well, we might as well get in with the Ice Climber. Let's go. You're at 19.
Bang.
I would say only 18 more points of damage needed, but that's not true.
Well, it's possible that, maybe Corey's out here is somehow milling Andrew out. Remember, the veteran Ice Climber can target anything.
That's true.
Andrew's done a ton of self-milling. I don't think he's particularly close, but, if Corey's bothering to play it out, he's, thinking about it. Oh, my God. He's going to get his spell back.
All right, Kishla Trawlers. Let's go. We're just getting the draw spell back, it looks like. We could have harmonized it, but why not cast it for cheap twice? Winter Night Stories.
Well, Corey might need to be setting up, some sort of double wild ride on my Ice Climber milieu for, I don't even know if it's possible. And like I said, I would be surprised if Andrew got sloppy enough to let his deck get that low without a removal spell. But that's the one thing that Corey could do to possibly win this game.
Right. The damage race is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Plus, Ringing Bell Strike has locked down the Dusty Earthcarver, but it's not forever. He can just pay 5 to untap it whenever he wants. And that's going to be right now. In comes the team for Andrew Elenbogen. Once again, we're in Chump City for Corey Burkhart.
Yeah, for Corey's side, it's just stay alive. And, all right, you got one big shot here potentially with the Ice Rider. Looks like Andrew is counting his library here, which means Corey's probably asking how many cards are left in your deck.
Oh, you love to see it. It still looks pretty healthy, though. I don't know. It's casting a shadow.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I assume Corey just blocks the two biggest things.
Puts a Trawler on a token as well as the Ice Ridge Serpent. Okay, here we go. And there is going to be a Snakeskin Veil to seal the deal. That is Andrew Elenbogen, 2-0 over Corey Burkhart, advancing to 11-2 with 1 round to play.